In three, two, one. Hey, what's up, guys? Joker here, joined once again with Brian from Tech Yes City for Tech
Yo,
Gaming
what's up?
Weekly. How you doing, man? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been rough, dude. Been really rough. So just
Yeah,
went to the mountains for like 3 days and didn't sleep much, but I did get 7 hours sleep, so that's some good news last night.
so
So
you get went. Oh, we got wrong page up here, but so you went to the mountains, clear your head a bit, get some rest.
yeah, well, it's just with work, man. Like, yeah, we go with the students on
One.
like a summer camp
Hey,
thing,
what's up,
and
guys? Joker
I
here,
just get
joined
to.
once again with
Oh,
Brian
sorry.
from. Oh my God, I have my. Hang on, I've got my
Hey,
own
what's
voice
up,
playing
guys?
here. Joker here, joined once again with Brian from Tech Yes City for.
Oh, it's all
Wow.
right.
Sorry, guys. Sorry if you're hearing my voice playing back there. I muted it now. I forgot to mute my own stream.
That happens, man. That's the problem I used to have when I streamed. It would be like looping back
Yeah,
infinitely.
totally
Uh,
like rookie mistake right there. And
yeah.
now I'm trying to get the chat back. There we go. Now I've got the chat back. All
Okay.
right.
Cool.
So getting that up. All right.
Yeah, we'll start this off again then.
All right. Yeah. So okay. Before we did jump into any topics though, the first thing I wanted to say was thanks to everyone because I just actually hit 20,000 subscribers today. So a big milestone for me.
Oh, awesome, man!
Yeah. Yeah, I
Congratulations.
forgot to
That's
tell you,
sweet.
you were sleeping, different time zones and all, but yeah, I got on Twitter earlier and I started doing a Periscope broadcast, watching the countdown go live, trying to get to 20K, and
That's
we
awesome,
got it
man.
like 5 minutes later, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good, eh? Like it's good when you work hard and you just get to that level. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So first topic that we had for today was some big goings on with the whole Reddit community because they're one of their moderators, Victoria Taylor, who sort of started the whole or the AMA thing with Reddit, which is one of their biggest things they have over there. You know, everyone from like Barack Obama, Channing Tatum, celebrities have come on this thing to do live AMAs to do on Reddit and interact with the community, which have been really, really popular. But now recently they've been talking about they wanted to like sort of go into like doing video AMAs, which would sort of remove a lot of the fan interaction that they had previously. And some believe that that may have led to her dismissal because she's been outspoken against this kind of stuff. But she left Reddit yesterday or the other day, and as a result of that, there was a big shutdown across the entire website. I first noticed it when I tried to go to the PC Master Race subreddit, and
Yeah.
I went there, and it was just completely locked out. It's just, oh, this subreddit is now private. And I was like, oh, I thought maybe it was down for maintenance. And then I went and
Yeah,
checked around a little bit
that's
more, and there's loads of other Reddits down. The movie, music, technology, loads of subreddits were just all down. So it's pretty
nah.
crazy to see that these moderators, basically took this step forward to sort of fight for one of their own, more or less, for
Yeah, well, it's a
Victoria.
protest. It's kind of thing like a protest, yeah.
Yeah,
So, well, it's yeah, well, it's sad when I don't know, like when bickering and stuff like that makes, when it becomes a real thing in real life where someone gets fired because of it.
yeah,
I don't know. Like I guess we don't know enough just based on the article, but it's pissing off a lot of people and a lot of people clearly respected her, yeah. So,
yeah, definitely. They definitely respected her in the community because she really organized the whole AMA thing before she had started doing it with the celebrities and everyone that if someone wanted to do an AMA, they would basically go to her and she would help them run it so that it was done properly and all the questions and everything that were coming in were organized. And
yeah.
she basically got all of that started. Now AMA is one of the biggest things on there. You know.
That's it, eh? Like, I mean, how bad could it possibly be? So, I think this story's gonna get a lot more
Well,
sort of
I just actually
fuel.
checked. Sorry, go ahead.
It's gonna get like a lot more coverage as we go in,
Yeah,
because
well, yeah,
yeah,
depending on which way it goes, because they were all back online as of like an hour ago. This morning they were not. Right before we went live, I had checked and I saw PC Master Race and Technology Reddits were back up. So, not sure what's happened there. I tried looking around on the news sites to see if there was any information coming in as to why that was, if the moderators themselves put them back online, or if Reddit took control. Because you have to consider when these Reddits are down, these subreddits are down. There's advertising on there that they advertisers that pay Reddit to advertise on these subreddits because they have millions of
yeah,
people visiting them. So
yeah,
that's their cash cow right there. If these subreddits get shut down by these moderators who are supposed to have complete control, then
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Well, I don't know. It's sad. So Reddit has not explained why it sacked her. That's ultimately what's going on. So
Yeah.
I'd love to see why. So exactly why she got fired. So
Yeah, well, that's another big thing right now is people aren't exactly sure why. They aren't sure if there was a thing that happened with the Jesse Jackson AMA that may have led up to it,
yeah,
or just because she's been so outspoken about all this stuff with the changes at Reddit. There's been big changes recently, and it seems like almost like they're going more commercial. There was a subreddit shut down a few weeks ago about fat hate. They were saying that they were being like attacking people or whatever, and it's like honestly, like as a representative of the fat community, I could give a fuck less if they want to have a subreddit and hate us. I'm sure there's subreddits where they hate blacks and Jews and Italians and whoever. So they want to have a
the
subreddit to
internet,
hate.
yeah.
It's censorship, and fuck censorship
the
at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, it's the internet too. I mean, you're going to get people trolling every left, right, and center everywhere. So I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, right? So, I don't know. Like, I don't read too much of that. If I see hate, I usually just like
Yeah,
keep moving, so.
I just scroll past it or don't come back to that page.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, censorship's annoying though. Yeah, so.
Yeah, well, the thing is, are they shutting this stuff down because they really don't like it? Do they think people are really being wronged, or do they think it's just hurting their advertising dollars? Do they think companies aren't going to want to advertise because there's pages on there for fat hate?
Yeah, you stepped right on it, man. That's
Your video feed froze, by the way.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
there we
my
go.
videos.
You're moving now again. You're moving.
Sorry. This webcam mouse. Still got to figure that problem out, hey?
Yeah, well,
video cam just.
I think it's just because you're on the opposite side of the planet. It takes a little while sometimes for the signal to get around the satellites.
That's true. Yeah, that's actually true. I'm glad the audio works out okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And hey, what's up, Lord Moss in chat? Who's saying hi? So what's up, man? But yeah, let's move on from the Reddit topic. And also, guys, be sure to tweet your questions over to us at Tech Gaming Weekly, or put them in the chat later when we prompt you guys, as we will be doing, taking some questions towards the end of the show. But next topic was Batman Arkham Knight, and we're not going to talk about the Steam refunds again. We're not going to talk about how badly broken the game was. I feel like that horse has been beaten to death at this point. But we did. Yeah.
I feel kind of sorry for them now. Like, they're going to be in a world of pain. Like, man, they copped some negative reviews, and just wow. Like pretty much every channel on gaming was reporting on how bad Batman Arkham Knight was.
Yeah, even console-centric channels were all still were reporting on this. Some people negatively. Some people were like, "Oh my god, these fucking PC Master Race fucking whiners!" Like, fuck you, man. It runs fine on PS4. Just get it for PS4, you mustard race cunt. I'm just like, fuck you, man. Like, get off my fucking page. You're just coming over here to hate. Like, why are you here watching a PC performance review if you are a console gamer just so that you can drop hate in the comments? Like, fuck off. You are a troll. You're banned now. Bye.
But apparently in a text file, you can change two settings. Is it the blur or something? And it actually makes the game
you could
run a lot better.
Yeah, the motion blur was the motion blur was a cause for a lot of crashes early on with the game, but they actually patched that out. But there are apparently some .ini tweaks that you can do to get a little bit better performance. I did some of my own ini tweaks, and I did get better performance, but it still wasn't perfect. It would still drop frames going around in the Batmobile and stuff. But it's still not perfect, and I'm waiting for there to be a patch so that there's a reason for me to use SLI and so that the game actually runs well.
Well, see, that's the thing. When I first saw your performance review, it's like SLI runs worse than a single card. Like, that was pretty much an indicator of how poorly optimized or how poorly coded the game was for PC when it came out. That was I was just like, whoa, this shouldn't be happening, right? That's what beta's for, right? It's what alpha's for, is to fix these major bugs and fix the little bugs and then release it, right?
And you're assuming they had an alpha or a beta. No, it was basically like, okay, 6 weeks until launch, guys. What do we do? Hire Iron Galaxy and let them try to figure it out. And basically, what we got was the 2015 equivalent of when whatever studio worked on the ET game back on the Atari. It's a 2015 equivalent of that. If you don't know the story, basically they had a few weeks to get a game done for E.T. when the movie came out because it was super popular, and they gave it to a guy who was like, "Hey, can you do this in like this amount of time?" And he's like, "I guess," and they just made it, and it came out and it was a pile of shit. Worst game ever made. Notoriously worst game ever made.
You got money, I can do it, you know?
Yeah, and that seems more or less kind of like what's happened with this game. It's like, hey, we're just going to hand it off to this port house over here, Iron Galaxy, and we'll see what they can do. And if hey, it's still broken, it's good enough. Let's roll it out anyway.
That's why you pay people. Like, there's professional beta testers. You at least pay one of them, and they'll say like, "This game's broken."
They
Don't
did. They
release
did.
it.
They told them it was broken. They just didn't care. They were
Yeah.
quality assurance testers were telling them for over a year that the game was broken.
Yeah, that's yeah. This is not cool anyway. I'm glad. Like, we were talking about how good the Steam refunds were, and I'm glad it came out in time for this. So that's. But well, let's talk about, I guess, on the up then. Let's talk about
coming up now is the news story that came in today was that the game is going to be back on PC in a few weeks because if you remember, the game got pulled from Steam. It got pulled off of Steam, so it's not even available for sale right now. And we're waiting for the big patch to come in so that people that do still have it, that didn't get a refund, can play it again, and so that people that didn't buy it can now buy it. And I'm hoping when it comes, then when they re-release it, that it's working perfectly. Because I'd still like to play the game, and I'll be happy to revisit it at that point and do another performance review to tell people if it's any good or not. Because I think people deserve to know.
Well, I mean, yeah. Ultimately, there's going to be people who really enjoy the story and they do want to play it. So I hope to see this come back, and I hope it's fixed.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to see some sort of like maybe compensation as well, like maybe a DLC or two for the PC community, something to say sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I can see it on sale on G2A for like $16. I was like, wow,
it's dirt cheap. I mean, you can go back and buy Arkham Origins for like $5.
Yeah, well, actually, I might buy that because if it does get fixed,
yeah,
then I wouldn't mind playing it. It's pretty cheap. So.
I mean, hey, if they get it fixed, and now that if with Rocksteady working on it, I think it'll probably be one of the best ports of the series. Since Rocksteady's working on it, if they get it up to scratch and it's scaling well in SLI, it could be performing better than any of the previous games before. Now that they're showing this much dedicated support for it. Mostly because they're losing their bottom line on the Steam refunds. They're losing money, so they have no choice but to make this game run well. They really have no choice.
Right? But this is the thing that they got to learn. They should do this from the get-go and make it, they should just get it right the first time. I mean, especially in they're making so much money off these video games, man. It's just no excuse, right?
Well, that's the case I was making the other day. Is that now with Steam refunds and people now that developers see that this kind of shit can happen. Like, if you put out a game on PC that's fucked up, we're not going to stand for it on Steam anyway. We will get refunds. Everyone's going to talk, and the Steam reviews have, been growing in popularity. I've noticed, in over the last year, really, since they've really been in their implementation. So many more people interacting on there, and I mean, when I go to buy a game now, if I go, I'll go on I'll always look at the Steam user reviews. Even though at times it can be kind of a cesspool, there's also still a lot of good information on there. You can, a game like this, it has like 10,000 reviews and 7,500 of them are negative. You're like, it's probably not a good sign.
Yeah. There's probably that one guy that's got like 3 Titan X's. It's like,
I don't know what you're talking about. It's running fine for me, It's capped at 30 FPS, but it's running fine. It's just running fine. Yeah, so do you have anything else you wanted to add on Batman before we move on to Star Wars?
No, I actually might grab it. It's actually really cheap. Like, wow. Like $16. That's dirt cheap for a new release. So
yeah, it is dirt cheap. And for anyone watching, if you didn't get this game yet and you're waiting for it to come back out on sale, please just give it 24 hours for any game, really. For any game that's coming out, I know you're excited. I know you want to play the game. Just give it 24 hours.
Yeah.
I promise you, I will have a video. Other people will have videos. Just wait. I spend the money so you don't have to. So just wait, please. When this game comes back out, I will get a video out for you within 24 hours, guaranteed, to let you know if this game is good or not.
Well, so I was gonna say, with games though, lately I've just been waiting. And they, for instance, I was telling you, I got Wolfenstein for like $8. I'm going to start playing that. It's like, you get them, if you get the games a lot later when they're released, not only do you get them a lot cheaper, but they're also patched as well. Yeah. And I've got an upcoming video about hyperthreading. And it's funny because when I first tested the dual core on Crysis 3, with the GTX 780, it ran like dog shit. It was so bad. But I recently dropped my 5820K. I mean, technically it's different, but I dropped it down to a dual core with no hyperthreading. and it ran pretty well on the GTX 970 overclocked. Like I was pretty surprised.
Well,
I was like, whoa.
well, according to Logan, it'll run better on on an 8350 than a hyper-threaded Intel.
No, but see, like I
that old
think
chestnut. He'll never let that one down. Sorry, Logan.
yeah, I've actually got to ask him what kind of crack he was smoking when
He's
he
like,
did
hey,
those benchmarks.
what kind of 8350 was that you had there, man? Was that?
Yeah,
Is that running at like 8 gigahertz on liquid nitrogen or something? What's going on over there?
yeah, that was pretty funny. But no, like because I think they've patched the game now so that it runs a lot better on dual cores.
Yeah.
I think that's with Crysis 3 because I could clearly tell there was a big difference between when I tested this years ago on a dual core, and when I tested it now on like a simulated dual core. It was a 9-day difference. Like it was actually not bad.
Oh.
And so I've got an upcoming video about hyperthreading. Well, I'll mention it, but it's actually worth mentioning now.
Yeah.
Considering like all these games are coming out and they're broken, it's like, well, come on my boat where I just wait for them for 6 months until they're dirt cheap.
Yeah.
that's not a bad option. So
yeah, I was gonna mention the hyper-threading with Battlefront before we move on.
Yep.
Necropig was pointing out something to me that I actually saw earlier today too. That was with Uncharted 4.
Yep.
Usually don't talk about console stuff, but I was a big fan of the Uncharted series on PS3. I played all of them, beat all of them
Yep.
on all the difficulties, everything. Love those games. And I picked up a PS4 last year to play The Last of Us Remastered, and I really enjoyed that. And I've given it to my brother, but I was basically waiting for the new Uncharted to come out so that I could play that because I was hoping it would be 1080p, 60 FPS, or at the very least 60 FPS, even if they dropped down the resolution a little bit to like 900p. But now it's been revealed it's running at 30 FPS on the single player and 60 FPS in the multiplayer. So it's like, all right, I guess I'm not playing that then. I'll just stick with the PC.
Well, see, my brother's actually coming over tonight. I got to pick him up from the airport, and his first thing he's making, she's buying me a PS4. Like as soon as he gets off the plane. So
it's like we're not even going to eat. You're not allowed to go shit. We're going straight to the store, getting the PS4.
That's it. That's it. Because he's already bought me Destiny, got it ready. So it's funny because, Totally Silence was saying on Twitter, like he's like, oh, I'm getting spammed with all these messages. I hate it. And I was like looking through them just quickly, and it's like the guy mentioned who was spamming him a Zim 4, and I didn't even know. Like I was looking for something to plug a mouse and keyboard into a PS4. And it's like, hey man, don't worry, something good came out of those spam messages.
Yeah. Are you looking?
I know what to get.
Are you looking forward to playing anything else like Last of Us, anything like that?
I'm just like at the moment it's just Destiny. That's it. Like I can't even fit. I don't even know what to fit in my schedule because I don't even know how I'm going to find time to play Destiny.
Make time for Last. Trust Destiny's not that good to be honest. It's really not.
Okay.
Make time. I mean, I understand. Was it your brother you said?
He loves it, man.
Yeah,
I've never seen him
understand.
glued to a game before.
You got to play with him. I get that because he's getting it for you. But in your own solo time, make time for Last of Us. That's a great game. One of the best games of last generation.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on to our next topic, which is Star Wars Battlefront. Right now, it's in closed alpha, and they said when the alpha went live, under NDA, don't capture screenshots, don't take videos. So what has the internet done? They've taken screenshots and captured video. So we got some 4K screenshots we can look at here today.
Apparently, you can torrent it too.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that it was torrentable, and I've been playing the alpha on. Let's say I've been playing the alpha, and for whatever reason, I'm not under NDA because I didn't agree to any NDA. So I could tell you my experiences about this game, and so far it's absolutely fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. I've only been able to play by myself, but I really like what I see, and I have no doubt in my mind that this game is going to win soundtrack of the year and best sound design because the sound effects are literally ripped right out of the Star Wars original trilogy along with the soundtrack, and that just makes my goosebumps just tingle all over my body.
So if you were to say compare this to Battlefield, it's completely different, right? Like if you've tried a Battlefield beta,
it is.
And then
it feels kind of like Battlefield when you're running around, but. You've got this card system where it's your hands, they basically are called, and you can choose like a set of perks. So like right now it's very limited. There's only 4 weapons and 2 sets of perks you can get. So like the set of perks I've been running with is you have a barrage thing that shoots out 3 grenades. It's a grenade launcher. You can use your jetpack to do a jump, and then you also have ion cannon. And you can use the jetpack you can move to get around. It's really, really fun using that, especially on the map that they have on Hoth for the multiplayer, because there's a lot of trench warfare, and you can usually get from one trench to the next by just using your jetpack, which helps out a ton because in a lot of that area there is very limited cover. So I like what they've done with the level design because it works really well with the classes that we have present right now. Or not, it's not really class. I shouldn't say they don't have a class system like traditional Battlefield, but they have different sets of perks you can choose. The other set of perks you can have has an orb that you can put around your body like a shield to protect yourself, like an overshield. And if you had that on, you could easily make it across vast distances to the next trench to get into cover. And if you're using the other character, then you could be using your jetpack to get to cover. So it feels really well balanced so far. There's a couple bugs in there for sure. The AT-AT and the AT-ST, they're aiming for whatever. It does not line up dead center on the reticle. It's like, I would say maybe a 5 to 7 meter drop off, just when the blasters first leave you. So I know you don't have much to add on this because you haven't played it. So I'm just kind of rambling on.
I was just going to say, what's the gun battles like? What's the actual gun battle? Have you actually had a gun battle with someone? What's the hit registering like? What does it feel like?
The hit registering feels good because you're using blasters. I mean, you could see your blasters, shots being, traveling across the fields. You could see it traveling across. So they definitely move slower than regular bullets, and you could see them making contact. When they hit something, you could see it. And
cool. Just a sec. Just wait for a sec. I just got to quickly. My son just woke up, so I should quickly take him downstairs. All right, you just carry for a little bit.
I was gonna say the feedback for the hit detection feels really good. The time to kill, I would say, is a little bit longer. Than like Battlefield 4 and Battlefield Hardline, especially because Hardline had a really, really quick time to kill. But so far, I've really, really enjoyed being able to sit down and play Battlefront yesterday and today, and I'm definitely looking forward to it coming out later this year. Let's see. Mitch was asking, is Battlefront running reasonably well on your non-ATIs? Well, right now it's only supporting a single card. I did go ahead and throw on the Battlefield 4 SLI bits to try to get it to run in SLI, but the game was flickering really badly. But performance did go up fairly significantly. I was with the 2 cards, just for performance, numbers sake. I was getting about 130 to 140 frames at 1440p, completely maxed out. On a single card, I'm running around 60 to 70 FPS on Hoth with multiplayer with 40 players. When I was going on the single player and co-op, it was running better than that. It was running around 80 to 100 FPS on the single player, but I didn't feel like that map was as demanding, even though it did look really nice. Like, the lighting on this map is really, really good.
Sorry, I'm back.
Yeah,
my bad.
I was talking a little bit about the single player, the single player co-op portion of the game. But yeah, it ran a little bit better. And also, as far as how the co-op the co-op single player thing works, it reminds me a lot of Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. I don't know if did you play that at all?
No, I didn't.
No? Okay. You never play anything. Come on. You got to start playing some games, man. You need some points of reference.
I've got an excuse here, like full-time job, kid, like I got to make videos in this.
No, that's no excuse. You got to go off the grid and become a full-time YouTuber. That's what you got to do. So yeah, the co-op thing kind of does play like the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, where it's basically waves of enemies, and they get increasingly difficult, like we've seen in many other games before. But it was fun. I enjoyed the Star Wars take on it. When you get into the higher waves, the AT-STs start rolling in, and you get like different drop pods that give you orbital strikes and charges and different level ups and perks and abilities, smart rockets, thermal detonators, all that good stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I definitely feel a lot better now about Star Wars Battlefront than I did a few months ago when I did my video, Everything Wrong with Star Wars Battlefront. So yeah, it looks good though. I'm excited to definitely play it when it does come out in November with friends and everything, because it seems good so far as it is. Even though in the alpha it's definitely not finished for sure, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with it when the game finally does come out.
Well, I mean, they're not making it as well. Did you point out there's no last gen support as well? So they're just making this for the new consoles and the PC this time around, yeah?
Yes, PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Yeah. So it's going to look a lot better, in my opinion, than
Yeah,
than it will.
it looks better than Battlefield 4, that's for sure. But
Yeah,
it's not like miles ahead in terms of how it looks. And I think that's really even a limitation of the current gen consoles because I think they're wanting to get it to run 60 FPS on PS4 and Xbox One. So there's
yeah,
still going to be some limitations there. But the lighting, I would say, looks better than BF4. Some of the shaders and reflections on the
yeah,
weapons look a lot better.
yeah,
And man, the settings on these maps are freaking awesome. Like being on Tatooine and Hoth, it's so good.
yeah.
In the single player co-op levels, like when you're going around in the hills, you can hear the Tusken Raiders up there, like whatever sound they make. That would sound like Chewbacca, but you know what I'm saying. They were doing Tusken Raider sounds. You can hear them in the hills.
That's sweet. Yeah, I love that. That'll
Yeah,
give it a nice feel to the game. Yeah.
yeah, and the soundtrack too. I mean, even in the menus, when that John Williams orchestra kicks in, and you're just like, oh my god, this is the best menu music ever.
Well, sounds are awesome, eh? I can't wait to get hands on as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll make this alpha available for everyone. I'm hoping maybe they'll start to trickle out more invites and do an open beta as we get closer to launch. I have to think that they will if they're doing an alpha like this, kind of early on. Hopefully by the end of summer we'll see a beta that everyone can get in on.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, I'd love to try it on open beta.
Yeah. So yeah, that's looking forward to this coming out and being able to play with friends. And
Yeah,
it
so
looks
it's
really good. Like just basically what I could take away from this is that I feel better about it now than I did a couple months ago when we didn't have any gameplay.
yeah,
And looking forward to playing it now, just more than anything. It's just if you are a Star Wars nerd, then it definitely scratches that itch, for sure.
yeah.
And I feel
That's
like they've
sweet.
stayed true enough to the old Battlefront games, while bringing in some of what Battlefield has done well for Dice. So I think it's gonna be a good game for sure.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So next topic, which I'll sort of let you take a lead on here, was the Fury X with the pumps. I know we've been some
Yeah,
issues with the pumps, right?
I mean, Jay's 2 cents already reviewed it,
Yeah, I
and
did see this
see,
video.
it's funny because he got a retail sample, right?
Yeah.
And he was commenting on the pump wine or the coil wine, and or pump and coil wine for all I know. But see, PC Perspective got the sample, and from here they went out and bought a pair of retail cards,
Uh-huh.
and they're just noisy compared to the sample. So I mean, it's not good when you're giving reviewers one thing and then the public is buying another thing. That's all I'm gonna say. Like for me, like, is it a big deal? Like for me personally, I wear headphones.
Yeah.
Like, and like for instance, my GTX 970 is weird. It had a bit of coil whine when I first got it, but because before I do a review, I usually give it a good amount of time. Like I'll test something for a while.
Kind of off topic. What headphones do you use mostly?
L1s, Fidelios.
Oh yeah, I just got
There's
these Fostex. These things are really nice.
oh
Really,
yeah.
really, really comfy.
Oh nice. Well, like well yeah, I can't see a video, so
Yeah. Oh yeah,
but
true.
yeah. So like I use the Fidelio ones, and they're semi-open, so they only let a little bit of noise in. And see, it doesn't really bother me, but I know that some people use speakers and they're really like anal retentive about this kind of thing. And so you kind of got to make sure that it's not an annoying noise, like it's not this bizz, which it is,
Yeah,
right?
the coil one, all that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
like it
I
is
think a lot of
annoying.
people don't realize that actually relates to the power supply.
Yeah.
That's what will typically cause coil one is actually, you know, the graphics card working in conjunction with the power supply. It'll give it like a feedback when there'll be like a whining sound.
Well, see, like mine, yeah, like it's also it can be the chokes as well if it's
Yeah, it's
coil one or
the
actual
the
graphics.
power delivery on the card.
Yeah, yeah, but also the pump itself
Yeah,
can
the
make a
pump
noise.
itself. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That seems to be, I think, the bigger issue here than coil one is definitely the pump noise, and that's that cooler master cooler that Ed was telling us about last week. It looks like it's not doing too well.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's obviously not doing too well, but apparently they're fixing it or something like that. They're fixing it and they're going to get it out on their next batch or something like that. But I mean, what about the people who've already bought one? Is that cause for an RMA? Like that's
I
I think
would.
it
I
is a
mean,
legit reason.
I don't know if they would give you an RMA over it, but I mean, if being that the card just came out, if I got one and I had it and I knew that there were other ones that didn't have it, I would probably just return it to the retailer and take my chances on another one.
Well, I mean, Amazon 30-day return. So
Yeah,
that's why I usually buy from Amazon
yeah.
because
Amazon's great.
yeah, well, that's the 30-day thing really is a deal breaker. Like it's You get it. If it just doesn't perform as you expected, performance is not adequate, that's actually a valid reason.
Yeah.
You can just ship it back. I've shipped back a few things now in 30-day time brackets. Really good. But anyway, let's not fanboy Amazon here. But like I've been saying, like, this kind of relates to AMD. Like, I've been saying for a while, like it kind of relates back to, in my opinion, just the whole company together, right? And I've been saying for years now that AMD were going to end up shit creek without a paddle if they didn't put more money into their products, especially R&D and things like that. And and people at the time, people were like, I copped so much flack for it, man. People were like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot." I said, look, they got to put more money into R&D. They've got to find more competitive advantages against their competitors. And now we fast forward to today, and people are, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot." Fast forward to today, what's happened? They're up shit creek without a paddle, right?
Yeah, because
And
I mean, I think really on this go around right now to have been competitive, they would have really had to mop the floor with the 980 Ti and the Titan X both with this
yeah,
card. Even though it costs less than the Titan X, I still think they would have had to been competitive with the Titan X and the 980 Ti to beat Nvidia. If you can declare a winner here, that's basically what they would have had to have done, and they didn't. And even though
yeah,
their early numbers showed that from what they were saying, but now that we see the real numbers from PC Perspective and Jay,
well,
it's not the case.
Well, see, I know those numbers. I knew those numbers were bad because just the correlation between the different benchmarks, right?
Yeah,
Crisis
they were
3
winning
was neck and
every
neck.
single one. They were winning
Well, it
every
was like,
single one by like
well, I
almost the
said
same
before,
margin.
well, Crisis 3 was neck and neck, and
Yeah.
then Witcher 3 is like getting slammed. It doesn't make any sense, right? So, just on the actual benchmarks themselves. So, I mean, like, yeah, like it's, yeah,
Dick
I've said,
dog.
like, yeah, you there?
Dick dog. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just-
but like I've been saying for a long time that AMD would be up shit creek without a paddle. Now they are, and I'd say they got a hole in their boat too, you know. And so really, as a company, they've got to. I think they just need help now. Like they're at the stage where they need to get external funding, and they need to, or sell off their profitable portion or their attractive portions of their business. But like this is just one of I don't know, maybe many of problems to come. I don't know, because I've been hearing about the R9 390 as well having driver problems for people
doesn't
coming from a two series card. Have you heard about that?
is it
Like,
directly in correlation from switching from the old card to the new card or something?
yeah. Like,
That's
and they're
odd.
just
Are they doing
like it's just
Are they trying to
full
do
black screen.
Are they trying to do
Yeah.
full driver wipes or before or what?
Well, see what they do is I think the problem they've identified is they do a full driver wipe, but even if they're connected to the internet, it'll quickly grab a driver,
Yeah.
and apparently it's a 2 series driver. It'll just automatically grab a 2 series driver, and then it won't work.
Yeah. See, I'm actually looking forward to the Furies more than the Fury X's, just because of the fact that they're going to have board partners on, doing those. I think I don't think it's that much of an impossibility to see some of these Furies beating out the Fury X in terms of just raw performance. I mean, like with Nvidia, the Gigabyte 980 Ti that's got their custom PCB on there, and it's overclocked to some ridiculous numbers out of the box and boosting really well. It's beating out, stock 980 Ti's, even beating out the Titan X considerably by about 10 to 15 frames out of the box.
Well, yeah, I'm very keen to see the Zotac Amp Extreme. Have you heard about that? 25% out of the box, like before you even touch anything.
On the Fury or 980 Ti?
On the 980 Ti, Zotac have their own Amp Extreme coming out. That looks huge, eh? So I'm keen to see what the board partners can do with the Fury. But isn't the Fury cut down from the Fury X?
I think they should. I don't know the exact specs. You're putting me on the spot here. I don't know the exact.
Yeah.
I was just seeing it. I was just seeing it.
off the top
I saw it something about it earlier where they were saying that it did have 3584 stream processors. I'm not
That's
sure the
it,
exact count on the Fury X. I'm not sure if that's less or more.
It's less, and then it's
It's a little bit
$100
less.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Okay,
I think
so-
that's.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it does fit in if they are, with.
But actually, one point that I'm
partners.
going to raise is that something I don't like is that people are like, oh, what about the Fury Nano coming out? Now is that going to be a standalone card?
Well, yeah, it's basically a smaller form factor of the
see,
Fury.
Yeah, it's going to use less power than an R9 290. But this is what I don't get is like when they release that, they're essentially saying, what, don't buy an R9 390 because we're going to release a more power efficient version that's going to give similar performance in the coming months. Like, so that's an issue that I guess I haven't heard people raise, is that when they release the Fury Nano, they're just competing with themselves, sort of thing.
Yep.
So yeah, it's something that I do question. But anyway, we'll move on. Like, if people got questions about the Fury X and stuff like that, drop a comment below.
Yes,
And
someone did ask earlier if Microsoft were to put out graphics cards, if we would buy them. I mean,
I really don't care.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't care what the brand is. I care about what the best performance is at the end of the day.
it's funny because
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
me and you off cam, we've both said this.
Yeah.
If our graphics cards had a brand name switch, if this was an AMD GTX 970, I'd still be using it. Like, it doesn't matter. It'd be my,
Yeah, it just
you've
comes
said
down.
it.
It just comes down to the performance. If you've got the numbers,
Yeah.
if you've got the driver support, and then I'm going to use it. That's basically what
Yeah.
it comes down to at the end of the day.
Doesn't I do not care about brand name unless of course it's like really bottom of the barrel shit year after year that this company's been pulling, like
Yeah.
if they've just been releasing failed products every
Yeah,
year. It's like,
if I've
okay.
been rubbed the wrong way by
Yeah.
by a company in the past, then I'll
Like-
usually steer away or be very, very cautious
Yeah.
about buying from them again. Like with the I've got loads of Asus stuff, but because of my experience with the ROG Swift, I would now be very skeptical going into any Asus monitor purchases. Just how I feel. I would be,
Yeah.
they've got an IPS one coming out at the end of the year, 144 hertz G-Sync, 1440p, all
I've
that
heard
stuff.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, Acer, I'm actually looking forward to the Acer 21x9. I think they're releasing their own.
It's only
Is it?
75 hertz though and 1080p.
Okay.
Because
all right, let's see about it.
the issue with that is I was waiting for 3440 by 1440, 144 hertz G-Sync, all that stuff. But apparently that's probably not going to happen anytime soon because it would require DisplayPort 1.3, and G-Sync only
Yeah.
supports 1.2 right now. So Nvidia is going to have to update their G-Sync scaler to support 1.3 before that can happen. Otherwise, it's going to be limited to 75 hertz at that resolution, the 1440 ultra wide res.
Yep. I see. That's just funny. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, like, have you tried the ultra low motion blur on your 1440p monitor?
No, I had it on my old one. I just really don't care about it. It's for me, it's like a non-feature. It's like just an extra tacked on thing, just because I'm going to use G-Sync. At the end of the day, I'm going to use G-Sync. That's more important to me. So just don't even bother.
I think my channel's gonna start a new arc with response times and motion blur. Like, I've been reading up about it, and like, it was funny because when I went to the mountains, like, I just didn't see a computer screen for 3 days, and I get back and
God, what did you do?
Oh, we're just out in the fresh air, just
No, I'm just
doing
kidding,
stuff.
just kidding.
But no, like, because there's limited internet up there too. Like, I noticed I was less tired, like, in general. Like, I was really energetic, and it's just funny because ever since I changed to these IPS panels, I've noticed that I've been getting more tired more easily. Is that because my eyes are working harder? And that's something that I'm going to look into. So I do want to get a 120 hertz monitor with ultra low motion blur.
Huh.
Because from what I'm reading, it makes a lot of sense. And this is the thing, man.
It might,
Nowadays-
I was going to say, it might make more sense for someone that doesn't game as much and is doing more desktop stuff, then it might actually make sense to use ULMB.
Yeah. Well, I think in games too, it make a big difference because every time, like we said last time on Tech Gaming Weekly, your eyes are being fed a constant stream of information. And so whether you actually can notice the pixel responses or not doesn't matter. It's still your eye, it's happening. And so your eyes have to work harder to see the same thing, as opposed to if it had ultra low motion blur, you've just got that image coming out and it's sharp, it's crisp sharp. And so it's weird. I'm going to do a whole arc on it. Like, I think I'm going to get either a BenQ, God forbid a ROG, because they've come down so, like, they're pretty cheap in Japan right now. They're probably about 600 for a ROG.
Oh yeah.
So
They came down a little bit over here. They're down by about $50 on Newegg. But still
And so
pretty pricey though.
yeah, we'll see. The Aces haven't released anything in Japan. It's weird because Aces in Japan that's been a really strong market for them.
Yeah.
Also, on saying that on back onto the Fury X. Sorry, we went off really off tangent here, but it's
Yeah.
funny because the release week, this has been Fury X, right? And because I buy off a site where they've got all the top 20 graphics cards in Japan are like all Nvidia.
Doesn't
And that's
surprise me.
even, well, that's even in the Fury X launch week. And I'm like, whoa, that ain't good, you know?
Well, I mean,
So,
Nvidia, hit a hell of a shot with the 980 Ti. They knew exactly what they were doing with that card when they put
yeah.
it. They
Ooh,
basically
yeah.
they knew that the Fury X would beat 980, which was their flagship GeForce card anyway. Not looking at the Titan X, which really isn't a gaming card at all. So they saw the Fury X coming out and they're just like, okay, we need to beat that by this much, and charge the same price. And here you go, 980 Ti.
Well, I think that's, the Fury X was definitely a reason why we got 980 Ti a lot earlier than we did. So,
Yep.
and let's not, people are like, competition's always a good thing. That's, something we shouldn't forget. But you want to move on to Pascal? Or?
Yeah, before we do though, Life or LIFE in the chat was asking what he should overclock his 980 to. GPU memory setting is really whatever you can get it to, man. I mean, run.
Memory's not as important as GPU
Yeah,
clock. Focus on GPU clock first.
Yeah, focus on your GPU clock first. First thing I would usually do is run ASIC quality test, find out what I'm at. And if you're at like a 70% or higher, you're probably going to get a decent overclock. You should be able to get, if you're at like a 70% or higher, you're going to, with boost, you have to consider boost. The first thing I would do is run it on like Heaven or Valley and see what your card is boosting to naturally, which is probably going to be up around the 1200 range in there somewhere. And see what it's boosting to and take that into account when you go apply your overclock. If you want to throw on like 200 right off out of the gate, then I would say that's something you should be able to hit with a 980. It would be like 200 on the core.
Yeah, it's definitely
And
doable.
then just go from there. Really, just add on like 10 megahertz at a time and let it run through
I can,
Heaven or
I can
Valley
get
or whatever.
1600 on my GTX 970, so it's king.
1600. Yeah, I mean, just look
Yeah,
at
it's huge.
your boost. I mean, average overclock for a core on 980s is like around 1500. That's about average. Sometimes you can go more, sometimes a little bit less.
I find for overclocking as well, overclocking NVIDIA cards, use Firestrike. Like that is a benchmark that will find an unstable GPU overclock really quickly.
See, I found that I was able to get through that with some of my
Really?
overclocks that were shaky on, like, if I ran Combustor and I was checking for
Oh
artifacts.
yeah, Combustor's Combustor's pretty hardcore as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Heaven and Valley. Heaven and Valley, if I have, especially Valley, if I have an unstable overclock in Valley, it will crash. No
See,
questions
that's weird
asked.
for me. Valley was running, like, this is back when I started overclocking my 970. It was Firestrike that was giving me the crashes before. Like, Valley was just running, like, to the moon, man. That was weird. So it's funny that we got different experience. Is this on the 980 Ti, though?
He was asking about the 980, and he's also asking now, is it about how does the boost work? Basically, the boost works if your card is running cool enough because it uses GPU Boost 2.0. It goes based off your temperatures. So if you're below your card's TJ max, then it's going to kick in boost. So if you just watch your core clock on like Afterburner, if you have the statistics up on that monitoring, you'll see your core clock. If it's like for example, on my 980 Ti's, it's 1000 megahertz out of the box. But if I go and launch a benchmark or a game or anything like that, and I go look at my statistics afterwards, I'm going to see that 1000 has kicked up to around 1200, maybe 1220 or so. So that's your boost. That's what you're boosting to. So that's the number you want to look at, and that way you know whatever overclock you're going to put. So if you knew for sure that your card was going to be able to boost to 1500, no questions asked, or run stable at 1500, and you were boosting to 1250, then you would just put a plus 250 on your core and call it a day, because you would know exactly you're going to max out at 1500 with that, and it's going to be stable. If you know that that's your number for sure.
But even then, if it's too hot, it'll throttle down anyway.
Yeah,
So it doesn't.
or it'll either throttle down or it'll crash.
GPU boost is actually pretty good.
It's really
does
good
well.
technology. And then after that, go onto your memory and start overclocking your memory. That's definitely going to be important also, especially if you're, even at 1080, you're going to see some gains, but really with like 1440 and 4K or with really memory intensive games, you will get a decent boost in performance there when you overclock the memory too. So, but the core clock, definitely you're going to see more significant gains with the core clock. So, do look at that. But next topic we had
That's the one. Yeah.
the Nvidia Pascal. This is actually from a few weeks ago, and A lot of this
Well,
information
see,
is
a lot of the viewers asked me to talk about Pascal and what do I
yeah.
think about it.
All
Also
right.
about the, this is the main thing we've got to. I think we should just get this out of the way first. Some people are saying that they had problems with Fermi and implementing GDDR5,
Right.
and is Nvidia going to have that same problem with HBM? And a lot of people seem to think so, and I'm completely saying no. I think
Not with
they're
the
going to
smaller
have.
architecture too. I mean,
Well, yeah. So I mean, it's a valid argument, right? Because
yeah.
they did have problems implementing GDDR5 on Fermi, but my argument is, like I said to you, I always follow the paper trail, right? And I pulled up those financial numbers for you. And back in 2009, whoa, Nvidia were in a world of hurt, man, financially. Did you see that? A decrease of 60%?
Yeah.
Like, whoa, there's you don't have a hit like that and then just nothing gets, compromised. Their R&D budget would have been hit because of that as well. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
And they would have been, Gen would have been pulling out hairs back at this date. Contrast that to AMD, which were doing relatively okay in the same year. You can see that, having problems on Fermi is, when you look at the financial side of things, kind of justified, right? Like, whoa, these guys were doing it really freaking tough back here. Now we fast forward that to this year. So you got those financials up there?
Yeah.
And we got,
financials.
yeah, never been doing record revenue in Q4, up 9%.
Yeah.
Like, never doing better, man. They're sailing sky high. And I think they're going to have no problems because they just got money to throw at this.
Yeah,
And
that's why they've been able to stay ahead on R&D, and they didn't,
mm,
and I think they played it smart by not rolling out with the first gen of HBM like AMD, because they've been talking about Pascal for a couple of years with the stacked DRAM. I think going back like 2 years or so, they've been talking about it, and now, they're talking about it
mm.
in this architecture, the GP 100. On the 16 nanometer node, and not only that, but the HBM is going to be maxing out at 16 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot, but considering
But I did,
AMD's
yeah.
first gen HBM is limited to 4 gigabytes, so that's going to be insane if they ship out 16 gigabyte cards day one.
They probably will on their, like, Titan double X or whatever,
Yeah.
Titan triple X, or I don't know what they'll call it.
Well,
I've got a feeling they'll call it Colossus. I don't know
I
why.
think I think their high end card, like their, I don't think it's going to be called a 1080. I actually think that I think this is going to be the leap forward in architecture that they needed to start a new series, like they had with GTX. They had started a new naming. I think
Mm,
they're going to start over again with this series. That's just a prediction on my part. I have no.
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
But
I
we're
think
going to
they'll
talk about
start over.
performance. People want to know my opinions. What do I think? How's this going to perform? Now, this is interesting because we're going to drop down from 28 nanometer to 16 nanometer, which is a huge drop. Like, that's like what, 75% more density? Like, so that's huge, right? So you can fit a lot more on this die, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, that means that how are they going to play that? And HBM, right? So they're going to have so much room to play with. So what are they going to do? Are they just going to pretty much roll out the first gen Pascal as Maxwell plus HBM? They've got that card. They can play that card, and they will get performance. Like, they'll get performance gains from doing that.
yep,
Like, that's a legit option. One thing and people are like, oh, 100% increase. I don't think that's going to happen, right? Because we look at the market, right? We look at what's happening, especially with the node shrinks. I'd say arguably 28 nanometer and 32 nanometer for high performance desktop enthusiasts is where it peaked out. And you look at, for instance, Ivy Bridge Haswell. They don't overclock as well as Sandy Bridge. And you
no,
look at Broadwell, that's got legit problems dropping down to 14 nanometer. This is for the high performance desktop enthusiast market. And so what we're seeing, I think we're seeing a trend, is that like post 30 nanometer, as we go down from 30 nanometer, we're limited in the terms of, in yield efficiency for the high performance desktop market. And so it's interesting to see what yields they'll get out of 16 nanometer. And I think AMD is going with 14 nanometer. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to see how that rolls out. But
16.
okay. But with that being said, what we're seeing here is the fact that we're having problems dropping down now. We're having big problems. And that's been evidenced. I guess Intel is showing that, right?
Yep.
So, it's okay for smartphones, whatever, those, 1 gigahertz clocks, that's absolutely fine. They're going to have no problems dropping down to whatever until 5 nanometer, apparently. But I think for high performance desktop enthusiasts, we've already hit like a kind of a brick wall here. And so Nvidia probably, I'm guessing they know this. And how else do you get your performance gains, right? Through architectural improvements. So you're going to derive a lot of your, say for, I think we're going to be stuck on 16 nanometer for another 5 years possibly. And so, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I think with here, we got a bit of a dilemma where if you have an architectural improvement, you're going to want to space that out. Say, the R&D folks at Nvidia are like, hey, Jen, we've got a 100% performance increase here. And Jen will be like, no. Let me just bring this to the attention of the partners. And partners will be like, hey, is there a way to cut it down to 50? And then we've got another gen. We've got 4 years of sales here because,
Yep.
And so that's,
It's like they did with Kepler. They did 2 gens of Kepler. They did
exactly right. And so this is what you got. What's good for business is good for business, and that ain't going to change. Are we going to get 100% increase on the next gen, like first gen of Pascal? No.
No, and people are saying it's 10 times, maybe 10 times faster. Don't
What's
expect
got variable floating performances. Like
don't expect a 10-time performance increase. I mean, if you're getting 50 frames now in a game, don't expect to be getting 500. That's not going to happen.
So, yeah,
gauge your expectations.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do, right? The market we've got now. You look at GTX 970, 980. They sold so well, and they weren't that much faster than 780 and 780 Ti. So I think you're going to get that same structure where you've got your initial releases, you cut down versions release first, and they're 5-10% faster, but they use a lot less power, and then you're going to get that big card come out, whether it be the Colossus or whatnot, whatever they're going to call it, and but that's what's good for business, and that'll probably be 50% faster than your current 980 Ti or your Titan X.
Yeah.
So that's just my logical, that's just my expectations from Nvidia. Is even if they did have a huge improvement, they wouldn't do that because they're not forced as well. AMD aren't putting the pressure on them, so they're not forced to do that. And we can see that we're having a problem on the node dropping down. So we've got to focus on, architectural improvements. And if you have them, you want to conserve them, if that's making any sense.
Definitely.
So I just think we're going to get like a 10%, and then on the big card we're going to get 50%. That's just fine. Looking at it from a straight up logical point of view, I don't think we're going to get 100%.
It seems logical. I mean, that's what they've been doing with every generation of their flagship cards. Usually like a 15 to 20% increase in performance. So.
But hey, when we look at it, right, compare that to Intel. Hey, it's a godsend, man.
Yeah.
What are we getting from Intel? 5-10%.
Yep.
Every. Well, Haswell came out, guys. 5%. Whoa.
Yeah, with that, I mean, with that performance increase, it doesn't make sense for people to upgrade every single generation, maybe every other generation. But there's always going to be those enthusiast, PC users out there that are going to be like, hey, extra 20 frames that gets me over 60 FPS in a game that I wasn't getting 60 FPS in before. So. Yeah,
but then also you've got, say, for instance, whatever they're going to call it, GDX 1070, just for example.
Yeah, for reference.
That's going to come out at what, like $400. And that's going to be $250 cheaper than a 980 Ti. And it's going to give similar performance or whatever. You know what I mean? So they're going to be selling huge amounts of these cards. And they're going to be making more profit on them because there's less components on the card. So it's a good structure that they've got at the moment. It works. And you can't blame them for being a company that's doing things that's going to be best for the company. So, So anyway, if people have got more questions about Pascal, and drop them in the comment section below. But I think looking at their financials, man, they're going to run into no problems. I don't see them running into any problems.
Yeah, you were talking about like what's best for the company. That kind of thing is the thing I had up for the last thing, which actually I think I want to move into that now with Arc. Let's talk about what's best for the company since we're on point with Nvidia right now.
Yeah.
So right now there's a game out on Steam Early Access. It's very similar to Rust, which, if you guys know, has been around for a while. And they just passed 1 million units sold in under a month. They did it really quick, twice as fast as what Rust did. And it kind of got me thinking, why is that? Why is it selling better than Rust? I mean, Is it Jurassic World fever catching? Are people just like dinosaurs? What is it? Why is it selling better?
Yeah.
My position on this is that it's probably has a lot to do with the fact that they're using Nvidia Gameworks features. Now you might be
Yeah.
saying, "Hey Joker, so what? They're selling more copies, no big deal, right?" Well, if you think about it like this, people will say, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter if a game has Gameworks features; they're just making the game look better." C'est la vie. But I mean, if they're putting in GameWorks features into a game and then they have this type of marketing campaign for what is essentially like an indie game, I mean, look at Rust, their marketing. They have none. There's like no marketing campaign for Rust. Yet they've sold really well by word of mouth. Now here's
Yeah.
Ark comes out on the scene and it's selling extremely well and it's gotten really popular on Twitch. And I make the argument that's in large part because Nvidia is taking up the marketing for them because they have their GameWorks features in the game and they want to get out there and they're advertising it as such. And that takes up, that saves them a hell of a lot of money on their budget. So much money on their budget
Yeah.
is now saved that they don't have to put into marketing and to go into those areas of the game where they would have had to work on it, like grass, because they're putting NVIDIA turf effects into the game. So now the people that would have been maybe working for months on developing a grass rendering engine for Arc, now they don't have to do that because NVIDIA's in there. And
Yeah.
that's at the end of the day, that's not really good for gamers, in my opinion, because AMD is going to get left out in the just going to get left outside basically. And this game might come out and not be optimized at all for roughly 25-30% of gamers that are using AMD graphics cards. That's according to Steam polls. That's about 30% of gamers are running AMD graphics cards. The rest are on Nvidia. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's
you
a
know,
lot
as
of
you said
gamers
before,
getting left
yeah.
out for the cold.
I mean, yeah, but as you said before, indie developers, though, I mean, that's where Gameworks pretty much, from a business standpoint, bang, these guys, they don't have a lot of resources. Let's help them out. We make money, they make money. Golden handshake. At the end of the day, the AMD users lose out, but it's good for business. Like I said before, it's what's good for business. It's good for business.
It's good for business. It's not good for the consumer.
Yeah, so I mean, well, it's good for the Nvidia consumer, I guess. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. But I haven't played Ark Survival Evolved yet, but have you?
It's played what now?
Ark Survival Evolved.
No, I
like,
haven't. No, I haven't played it yet. It's too
yeah,
early in early access, and I've kind of gotten fed up with early access games. I still have Rust, which I've had since it first came out, and I've been playing that recently, getting back into it because I wanted to see the
yeah,
updates they've made to the engine.
yeah.
And
Well, it's just yeah, like 1 million copies is huge. That's actually a lot of money. So, I mean, we discussed GameWorks last week, right?
yeah,
And it does, like, ultimately AMD can't get that source code, but it's hard. It's a tough boat because I mean you got an indie company. At the end of the day, the indie company doesn't have those resources, and arguably GameWorks could help them. At the same time, the AMD graphics card users get left out, kind of thing.
yeah.
So
It helps them, but it also puts a big strike out right against AMD.
so yeah, so it's a double-edged sword there. But I mean, ultimately, if I was in the shoes of Arc, people designing Arc, I'd be like, whatever, man. We can take what we can get,
Yeah.
So that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I like these graphical effects, but I'm also of the same mind that I would love to be able to see this stuff open source, so that more development teams could get hands on with it and then implement it, and maybe even improve it. Because right now it's just all NVIDIA working on it, and it's sometimes it doesn't really perform that great because their code it's kind of shit. Their code is not great. And I'd like to see other developers get hands-on with it so that they could make it better because some of the effects they have are really impressive. But I don't see that happening anytime soon because so many of these games are pushing along now and, maybe games that may not have been made or may not have sold as well or looked as nice are doing that because NVIDIA is saying like, hey guys, we're going to eat up a big chunk of your marketing campaign. We're going to, take a big portion out of how much graphics you have to render into this game and how much work you got to put into it. So,
Yeah.
why
We're
not?
going to save you time and make you money.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say, boys? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sounds good to me.
Yep, pretty much.
So, well, yeah, at the end of the day, it goes to show, this article goes to show that, I mean, how successful GameWorks is from a business standpoint, right?
Yeah. It's smart business. It's smart business.
Yeah, it's smart business, right? Yeah. So I think we both agree on that.
Yep.
But yeah, what else? What other news do we have?
Well,
Skylake.
Well, yeah, we the one more topic for Skylake, and before we go into that, though, anyone If you do have questions for us, we're going to take some questions after our last topic. So if you have any
Yeah.
questions now that you want to ask, you can either fire them to me at Tech Gaming Weekly. The address on Twitter is right below our pictures on the screen now you're looking at here, or you could put them in chat, and we will go through those and answer as many as we can with the amount of time that we have left.
Yeah.
But now our last topic, which was Skylake, I'll let you take it away on this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, WCCF Tech have apparently got a leak from another online retailer about the actual pricing of Skylake chips. And we've got here the i7 6700K, which is coming in at $390. Pretty expensive. Like, that's a big jack up from the 339 on the 4790K.
Can I just say that I like the naming on these processors? They've kept it simple. Like back on Sandy Bridge, it's like, why do we need to have like this 3570? What was wrong with 2500? You know, like
exactly,
I like the Sandy Bridge naming. I'm just happy to see that's back.
But arguably, right, maybe they intended for Haswell refresh, because you got 4770K and you got 4790K. You know what I mean? Like, it did work out for them. So it kind of did work out for them there. Maybe their intentions are with Skylake is that this is just a one-gen thing. And that's what we've got, right? We've got Kaby Lake up there as well. But let's talk about Skylake. And because, we talked about Broadwell and how I was kind of skeptical about Broadwell. Like, just got swept under the rug. It seems like they're focusing on Skylake a lot, right? We're going to get that node shrink and an architectural improvement. So this is the one I've told people in the past to wait out for this, but what I'm worried about is if those yields, I think there was another article where I saw, like, apparently the i5 is clocked 300 megahertz on the turbo clock lower than the i7. And so it makes me wonder if they're aggressively binning these chips now based on yield, like based on high clocks. So what I'm thinking here is that if you're going to get on Skylake, I would recommend getting on the 6700K, just because it's going to be the cream of this time around. It really is going to be the cream of the crop.
Yep.
As opposed to, for instance, when I got my Haswell i5, man, that thing clocked, like, I got that to 5 gigahertz on air. Mm-hmm. Of course, it was a suicide run, but I got for 24 stable, I could get that thing to 4.8 gigahertz. That was an i5. And so with Skylake, I'm thinking that they're just binning the best chips. They're going to bin the best chips for the i7s first up. And so the best clocks you'll see will be on the i7s. And I think the i5s won't clock as well.
Yeah.
That's just my prediction there. And so I'm worried. Like, how high is the average i7 going to go? Is that going to go up to 4.4 gigahertz like most Haswell i7s go?
That's a modest overclock right there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But
the Devil's Canyon can boost to that. The Intel Turbo.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? That's sort of on Devil's Canyon. That's guaranteed, and a lot of people can get to 4.4 gigahertz on the i7s, but on the 4790Ks, sorry. But with Skylake S's, are we going to be getting these chips in, and then people are like, oh, I can't get to 4.3, I can't get to 4.4, and like, if that's the case, then we've got a 200 megahertz disadvantage there already, right? So that's what, 5% performance drop, just because you can't clock your chip as high.
That's why these new Intel chips, they never really excite me. The first one to really get me excited was X99 because it was a leap forward. It supported DDR4. That was like, okay, need to get on board with that.
Well, the 5820K was. I'm gonna give props to Intel. That was a good release. I liked what they did.
Definitely, especially here, in the US, you could pick that thing up for $299 at Micro Center.
Well, that's what I've been telling people. Like, I'm sort of I was telling people to wait out for Skylake, but I've kind of changed my tune now that DDR4 prices are down.
Yep. And
the X99 boards, you can pick some up. Like, if you're in the States, for example, you can pick some of these boards up for $150.
Yep.
And then you can get the 5820K, and that's the good thing with DX12 coming out and Windows 10. It's going to be more threaded for multi-threads. It's going to be more optimized for multi-threaded applications, and the games coming out are going to be optimized for more cores.
Oh yeah, I see Battlefront's using 6 cores, even in the alpha. It's using all 6 cores.
Well, see, that's a good thing, right? And so the 5820K play, even though it's an absolute monster for productivity.
Oh yeah,
but
for
even
streaming
for gaming,
or whatever, for every, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, but even if you've got you want to sort of make a rig for the next 4 years where all you have to do is change the graphics card over, then the 5820K is not such a bad play, especially with what I'm seeing with the yield problems with Broadwell. It's sort of making me skeptical, especially $400 for the it's more expensive than the freaking 5820K. Like what? So you're getting a 4 core for more than a 6 core? So you,
Yeah, and for not that much of a performance gain, really. I mean, I definitely plan on sticking with my Haswell E for a couple of generations at least until there's some really big reason for me to upgrade.
yeah, well, I mean, my 5820K now, I'm definitely like, yeah, it's like I'm happy I got it because,
Yeah, this
like,
thing
from
should
what I'm
last a good
seeing,
3 to 5 years, no problem.
yeah. And now I was going to say another thing with 5820K is as well is that I'd say like if you wanted to get on 5820K, I'd get it on. I'd be jumping on the bandwagon now because once Skylake comes out and once the server market starts mass adopting DDR4, then the prices of DDR4 are going to go up, in my opinion.
Yeah, we saw that with
Uh,
DDR3. They went down, then they went back up again, and now they're back down. Now they're really way
No,
down.
it's
But
because of some factory explosion where accident where no one died. So I question the validity of that factory explosion. You know,
yeah,
like yeah, of course it's a good thing that, like I've said in the past, it's a good thing that no one died. But I mean, like a big ass factory explosion and not one person died. Like it's kind of it makes you wonder if it was like a was an accident. You know.
yeah, tinfoil
So.
hat accident. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that's Skylake S. I'm actually very skeptical of Skylake. I don't know why. I just, from Broadwell, I've kind of got this inkling that the actual overclocks are going to be a lot worse than what we've got on 22 nanometer.
Yeah,
You know,
that's like it's just like what you were saying over Sandy, like going from Sandy Bridge to Ivy Bridge. It was
mm,
like, well, Sandy Bridge is kind of better. It's
yeah.
it was
Well, if
overclock. It
you,
was
yeah.
overclocking much better than the 3570Ks and 3770Ks. So it made sense to just stay with Sandy Bridge. I mean,
Yeah, well, if
when
you're
I was
on,
getting when I was building my PC couple of years ago, and
yeah,
I eventually got an i5 3570K. I was actually looking around to see if I could find Sandy Bridge i5s and i7s because I was like, they're kind of better.
yeah. Well, they're overclocking, right? The average, I
Yeah.
remember, like, pretty much everyone was getting like 4.5 gigahertz on those things on air.
I don't think Intel liked that. They were like, "Hey, these guys are doing too good on these chips. We need to
But
dial
is
this
that,
back a
yeah.
notch."
But that was on 32 nanometer, and that's what I was kind of saying. Is that level where is that for high performance desktop enthusiasts? Is that the level where it starts to from there it starts to go downhill? And that's my gut feeling is yes.
Yeah.
You know they're having legit problems getting down, like getting those high performance yields. But talking about this is like with Sandy, right? If you were on a 3930K, there's even to this date, there's practically no reason to upgrade, right?
Yeah.
If you got that 6 core, 12 threaded 3930K, you'd still be having a good time, like perfectly timed. Like I tested the X5650 and I was surprised at how relevant that CPU still is going on 4 years.
Hmm.
So it's just funny. Like, yeah, I'm sort of like, I was actually
And this
hyped
is
about Skylake a
this
year ago, but now I'm sort of really skeptical about it. Like,
it's a new socket too. Yeah, I think it's 1151, right?
yeah, so you're gonna have to get a
Yeah.
Z107 or whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna have
Whatever.
to get one of the new motherboards too. So
Yeah. Was it Z170 they're calling it?
I don't
Okay.
know. I haven't even seen the naming on
Yeah.
the motherboards yet.
Okay, well, I think they're calling it Z170, so that's what they're calling it, not Z107. I thought they would have went with Z107. Oh, well, interesting. But yeah, then we've got Cabby Lake. Did you get that news on Cabby Lake or whatever
Yeah, I
it
saw
was?
that they're already planning. Kaby Lake is going to be the next to succeed Skylake.
And so this is my prediction: is that yeah, they're having problems with shrinking these nodes, man. Like going from 14 to 10 is probably it's probably a massive brick wall for them, and they probably already realize this.
I'd rather see
They're
them
like,
try to get maximize performance at the size they're at before trying to
yeah,
shrink it again. Like let's maximize performance here before we think about doing something else.
yeah. And so this is like we're going to get like a double architectural improvement here. So we're going for Skylake, and then we're going to Cabby Lake, which is interesting. Like we're going to just go talk, double talk.
Hmm.
That's really interesting. Like I'm keen to see that, but arguably, is all they're doing is they've got like maybe they like Pascal, right? They got these huge gains on the architectural side, and they're like, okay, well, let's just split this up and milk out another year. You know, is that is that what they're doing with Cabby Lake?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm not going to upgrade anytime soon, but I'll keep an eye on the performance so that if I'm doing any builds or whatever, then
well,
it'll
that's
probably
yeah.
in the most cases it'll make sense to go with the latest architecture. But I mean,
Well, for me,
hopefully
that's
it's as
why I've
good
been
as
telling
previous
people,
one.
pull the trigger. Like, pull the trigger on a 5820K build if you've got the money. If you're going with the 980 Ti or a Fury X, pull the trigger on a 5820K. It's not a bad option,
No,
even for gaming. Like,
especially
like,
especially if you can get one at Micro Center in the U.S. I said this back when I did my X99
mm,
build, and I was looking at the performance of this versus like an i5 or something. I was like,
yeah,
it's like if you're in the market and you're looking at getting an i7 anyway, like you may as well just it's gonna only with the memory cost, it's only gonna
mm,
wind up costing you like an extra $60 at the end of the day to get a
yeah, and
six
so,
core processor that's going to
yeah,
beast through anything.
mm,
Any game you've
yeah,
heard, it will beast through. If you want to
yeah.
do Twitch streaming, it'll annihilate that. You hardly see any performance degradation or frame drops.
Well,
It's
even see, this is the thing, right? Even in eight-threaded games, your Windows processors will be going on different threads, and so it will give you a slight improvement. Like, of course, in most games, look, you're not going to notice nothing between like a four-core and a four-core eight-thread and a six-core 12-thread.
yeah.
But you've got that extra power there, and you're paying not much, like little. This is the first time in kind of history where you've seen that premium is so small. And I'd recommend jumping on it.
Yeah, and they
Um,
overclock well too. I mean, I've got mine up to 4.6, so
no, I'm jealous, man.
I'm
Yeah,
not I'm
mine,
not missing out there. I don't feel.
mine's capping out at like 4.4.
Hey, even
I
that
can
that's
boot
still
up,
good,
like
you
I can
know.
boot up. Yeah, I can boot up to 4.5, but it won't run stable. And then 4.4 is like a huge amount of power consumption over 4.2, and then 4.2 is a big amount of power consumption over 4 gigahertz. Like the
Yeah.
voltages, I've got to get like 100 millivolts just to get it from 4 to 4.2. So you can see my diminishing returns
Yeah.
just kicks in really
Well,
hard after 4 gigahertz.
I mentioned it
What
because
voltage are you on
one
at
one
4.6?
1.25.
Oh my god, you have a golden chip.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So jealous. What is it? Was it made in Costa Rica or Malaysia?
Costa Rica.
Okay, yeah, just for me, like this is I guess it's just a jinx, but every time I get a Costa Rican chip, pile of crap, man. Like doesn't overclock well. And every time I get a Malaysian chip, golden chip. so, so it's just funny. That's just my experience with it, eh? But
Yeah.
no, you've got a Costa Rican chip at 4.6 at 1.25. That's
Yep.
freaking golden, man. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I wanted to
Uh,
put it on water. I could probably get it to 5 gigahertz on water.
oh, I wouldn't like, yeah. You might see
I'm
some
tempted, but
smoke
I
coming
won't.
out of your motherboard.
I'm happy. I'm happy with what I've got at the
Yeah,
minute.
I wouldn't even bother
My
pressing it
temps are
then.
low on air. I've got one single fan on a CPU cooler, and I don't go over 75C. Rendering videos, which is fine for me.
Yeah, that's huge, man. I'm so jealous. I wish I got one like that, like 4.6 gigs at 1.25
Yep.
volt. Oh, anyway, yeah, that's about it. We want to go to
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. We had a couple questions. Some people were asking about direct. They wanted us to talk a little bit about DirectX 12, which I guess or Windows 10 really only coming in a few weeks. I had mentioned this on Twitter already about Windows 10 is I'm gonna wind up using it because of DirectX 12 support and because I'm gonna have to do a review on it and all that stuff. But I am not excited about the UI changes on Windows 10
Oh,
at
really?
all. I am not.
I tried. See, I tried the technical preview, and I was actually pumped. Like I was like, this is like it, but
I
back.
don't like. I don't
You,
want Cortana watching what porn I fap to. All right, Cortana's gonna find out that I jacket the tranny porn, and she's gonna tell the world. And I don't.
well, did you
This is my private
you
information. You know
did
what?
you get
Actually,
that
I
link?
I would rather tell people than Cortana. So I'll tell you right now, I fap to tranny porn every day. Yep, I'm gonna beat
Um,
Cortana to it.
did you get that?
Kidding.
Did you get that
Don't
link that
meme
I
that.
sent you?
Don't
Did you
meme
get
that.
that link that I sent you? That guy with his license plates fap to it.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, I don't have it up, but I did see that. Someone had a license plate that
It's,
said "fap" to it, and he totally got away with it for a while.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not excited about. I don't like the taskbar, with the Cortana there and all the other extra little white icons that I would never use, and don't like the start menu. I use Start as back right now. I'm really hoping that they do Windows 10 support. That would be awesome because I don't want
It depends what they do.
I don't want
Like,
my UI to change. I want the speed benefits of Windows 10 for games and on the desktop experience. And I do like some of the things that they've added in for power users, like being able to snap your tabs into different quadrants on the screen. I like that I can finally press Control V to paste in command prompt. Finally,
yeah.
after 30 fucking years. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean there are some good like I'm pumped for it though because I tried the technical preview and I liked what I was used I liked what I saw. But like over Windows 8.1, it really isn't like nothing's life changing there. It's just going to be a pain in the ass, right? To upgrade your OS and then do everything again, just for DX12 support. I'd like to see them just roll out DX12 support on 8.1. Like that would be really good.
Not going to happen.
That would have me.
They need to get people on Windows 10 so they could start charging us for security updates.
Yeah, well, a good thing apparently is if you want to be a beta tester for them, you can get it for free. I think that's a huge thing with Windows 10. So like the pirates can just be beta testers instead of downloading a pirate, whatever it is, like Windows 8 Superman Edition 2050. You can just get on the normal
Yep.
normal Windows edition. So you don't have to torrent a dodgy version of Windows or whatever it is. So
I'm trying to.
I was in that boat.
When
When I was a teenager, I was in that boat. Windows XP, Superman edition.
Yep.
Or Batman versus Superman edition 2100.
Yeah. So I was looking through questions. I didn't see too many more questions. They wanted to know if we could FAP to Cortana nude mod. Definitely, but only if she has an 11-inch cock hanging between her legs because tranny porn reasons.
Have you seen the have you actually on that note, have you seen the Batman vs Superman trailer?
Oh God, it looks awful.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Like I thought it was different. Like it was pretty cool.
I didn't like the idea of Batfleck when I heard it because it just didn't taste good in my mouth, and I still don't like it. It hurts my eyes, and I don't know what's with the robot voice changer. I don't know what's with that. Like, Batman's turned into Bane apparently. I am the only Dark Knight for God.
I liked Dark Superman. That's one thing I did like. That's pretty cool.
I'm gonna say it because it's Superman vs Batman, but I'm just going out on a limb here. I think it's gonna be absolute shit. Another movie that was good though. Someone asked, Poovy was asking in the chat about Terminator Genesis, which I know you didn't see, but I saw it. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was better than Salvation, better than 3, but not as good as 1 and 2. Obviously, 2 is definitely the benchmark. The James Cameron one, the best one, no doubt. And then also, and the first one also excellent. But this was definitely better than the third and better than Salvation, which isn't saying a lot. Going against Salvation, that movie was not great. I like the Terminator Sarah Connor series better than that.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm keen to see it. So,
did you see Mad Max, the new one?
No.
I didn't care. Yet. I didn't care for it. I know a lot of people loved it. I thought it was really dull. It's just like a.
I saw Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. Like I liked it. It wasn't like oh my god, like that was amazing, but it was good. I thought.
I'm looking forward to that being on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
I got to download it on Netflix.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, once it's on there, I'll give it a look.
Yeah. Like as long as for me with a movie, as long as it's not like just boring, like you get bored, like I forgot some of the movies that I've seen lately, but you just watch it, it's like, huh? I watched this for an hour and a half just so the ending could be like this crap.
Yeah.
So many movies I've seen like that lately. So, but we got asked about thermal paste.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could do that for our last one. Charlie for the banter and I asked on Twitter the other day, asked both of us if we had no thermal paste and we had to use a normal everyday household item, what would we use as thermal paste? And I'll let you go on first. What would you use?
Yeah, I would actually use nothing. I'd just put the heatsink on the chip and then put like a paperweight on it until I got some. Yeah, and then just run it at stock clocks. Like it should actually be fine.
Yeah.
Like I've done, that's what I do on some of my test rigs. It's actually funny because Linus was doing a video where he was zip tying. Like did you see that? Where he took the sockets off the motherboards on like $4,500 setup, $9,000 setup.
I don't think so. I don't remember.
He took the sockets off. Like he got these, those whatever it was, 64 threads or whatever. He got these 2 massive chips from Intel, and he's like zip tying them down, like taking the sockets off and then zip tying the CPU down with a heatsink on it. Like, it's just like, whoa. All you had to do was just have the motherboard sitting flat, put a heatsink on it, put a paperweight on it. You would have been absolutely fine just to check if it booted. And that's what I do. Like when I'm doing test setups, just to check if it all works, I just put the heatsink on top, put a paperweight on it, and and then we're good to go. Like I just see if it boots up, and temps will run. Of course, temps will run a little bit higher, but they won't be out of control. So, have you ever booted up a chip with no heatsink on it?
No.
It's pretty funny, man. Like
I've seen it online though. I saw someone cook an egg once. I saw someone cook he booted up and he put like a small piece of chicken on there and it cooked.
It gets fucking hot really quickly, yeah. Like
I mean, I know if I needed a thermal paste substitute, my go-to would be Nutella.
Nutella.
Because Nutella makes everything better. So obviously that'd be my go-to right there.
I heard toothpaste is actually not bad. From what I've seen, toothpaste is like legit.
Yeah.
So it'll work.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, but that about wraps it up, man. Like, if we got any more,
I think that's
questions?
I think that's it. That's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. We did, if you guys noticed, we did it on an odd day this week. We usually do it on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, but and we'll be back at that time next week. Brian had a little vacation this week.
Yeah, I had to go with my work on a 3-day trip, so
it
was unfortunate. I couldn't do it from the mountains. It'd be like I'd be cutting in and out every second. I'm not gonna let you guys go through that.
It would be like Wendell on every episode of The Tech, where his voice is like 10 seconds ahead of his mouth moving. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you once again for joining us, like always, and we will catch you in the next one. And get to the like button. Do it now.
Yeah,
hit the like button. Come
Check us
on.
out.
What are you waiting for? Go.
Check us out on Twitter too. Don't be because me and Joker, we always talk on Twitter. We update things, like we're always talking about what we got in the works. Even if we're not making, like for me, I know sometimes I just don't have time to make a video for like days at a time, but I will update on Twitter what's going on, what I'm working on. So be sure to check us out on Twitter.
Yeah, and then gonna have some more hardware videos next week for you guys. So keep an eye out for that. I got a 970 here, one of their new super clocked versions of the card that fixed some of the issues they had in earlier renditions with their heatsink for the card. So it's going to be interesting to check this out and see how much I can overclock this thing. So
yeah,
stay tuned for that next week.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. All right. Yep. Well, that's about it. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yep. Ta-ra.
Yeah. Bye.